Hey, this is Scott of thewayofcoding.com. I'm going to go over a little program that I made last year. Uses the frequency range of past results for this lotto. It's an Illinois lotto in this case, and gives you random numbers that are more based on past history. So if a number has higher chance of happening in the past, one of the winners, then you'll more likely get that number than one of the others. Of course, random numbers don't really work that way, but it's still fun to try out. So in this case, this Illinois Lotto has 6 numbers, 1 to 52 for each number. Just get the 6 numbers. They're randomized, but they're also based on the frequency of past results. To look at the code itself, there's the 6 numbers that we need. There's a sorted dictionary where I put in all of the past results, the frequencies from the state range that I did last year from 2014 2016. Pretty simple there. The first number is the key. The key is actually the number that we want to pull, and these are the frequencies, the values. So in a for each loop, we're going to go through and fill this large array of that 104 amount, which basically means 2 times the total number of possibilities that we have. So what I do there is, if you look at some of this commenting, for ball number 2, it uses the index number 2 and number 3, and it puts in a range. And the ranges add up throughout this loop here, this for each loop. So the first entry, which is number 1 for the lotto number 1, it'll go through, it'll take the frequency up here. So we've got 1, and it's 29. So it happened 29 times throughout this date range. And then 2 happened 34 times throughout this date range, and so on. So this for each loop adds these together. So the index 0 and index 1 will go to this value. It'll be 0 to 29. And then for the second one, it will be index 2 and 3. And then it'll be 30 to 34 or 35. I have to look at the code in details to make sure. It's basically, we make a large array of all of the possibilities, and each one uses 2 indexes in that array for its range. And all of the values add up over time throughout it. So that basically gives us a large array that we can figure out where our random number will reside. We make a random number class instance for our number itself. Text box is where we display our values. And here we have a while loop. The while loop we use because we want to get 6 numbers that are unique. To get them to unique, you have to keep pulling random numbers until you get 6 unique. Sometimes you might get 2 of the same number just by chance. In the date range here, we have the total frequency count, which goes all the way up back to here, and we add up all of those values in that first for each loop. So that would probably be 300 draws. I'd have to, or 300 times 6, I don't know. I'd have to look at the code, but of course, all the code is on GitHub, so you can look at it in detail. It's been a little while since I've looked at this. Basically, just go through, and I'm jumping by 2 each time inside this inner for loop, which is inside that while loop. And the while loop just basically controls our final result. We need to get 6 numbers that are unique and randomized based on the frequencies. So inside that inner for loop, we go 2 at a time, because of course I just mentioned that array that I made up here is 2 per number that we can pull. Then we just check, we see once we get a random number which is between the entire total frequency count, it'll fit inside that each range of each number that it has that gets added up throughout the entire for each loop here. So if we get number 205, this loop here will look through all of those and see, okay, there's one range that fits. Let's pull out the number that associates with that range. And it'll just save it here. It'll increment to go to the next poll. So that's pretty much it. And then if I'll just pull up the program one more time. So each one will get that weighted frequency, the weighted random number. That's about it. We found that interesting. Thanks.